everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Stroke. I am your host and also stroke survivor, Jerry Wall. And for those of you that are here that are new, I started doing this show to bring awareness uh, to stroke, TBI, aphasia, really brain injury, and also to provide a platform for all survivors to share their journeys, their stories from all across the world, and also bring on experts in brain health to share their knowledge, which we probably all need to know a little more about this. Um, anyway, this morning my special guest is Judy Dixon, and not only did she have 11 strokes at the same age that I had my stroke, that was 49, but we'll talk about her rare antibody in her blood system that I guess caused it, but we'll talk about that. And so anyway, please make comments and before I forget, she has her own Facebook page, which she is a coach, but she'll explain that. So anyway, again, make comments and ask questions too. So if you haven't done it yet, please make subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's get started.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
All righty. Good morning, Salud and Yvonne and Aubrey. Nice to see you. Always good to see you. So let's go ahead and bring on Judy and let's give her a warm welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, all our fellow stroke survivors.
Absolutely. I'm glad you can see the comments.
Yes, I do. I see them.
Perfect. Perfect. I love the good morning to everybody before we can get into the story there. Good morning, Gary. Nice to see you. Um, thank you, Yvonne, for what you're saying there. But anyway, I'll take this out here so some people won't see the comments here. Fantastic. Hey there, Judy. Simply Aubrey is out there. So, Judy, it's so nice to see you, and I'm so happy that you agreed to be on the show.
I makes me nervous, but okay, I'm here.
Oh, not at all. Good morning, Barbara and Tammy. Look at all this. Um, Michelle and Heather, uh, Naomi. Well, if I miss you, yeah,
Jumping on. Good
yeah,
morning,
a lot.
everyone.
Yeah, people from like Yvonne. She's from Athens, Greece. My memory. You know, it's funny. Watch your promo that you did. Your all your um, bio. I I had this. I think most of us have the same thing. You know, the short term memory. That's kind of gone there. But let's start with just who was Judy before your stroke, or 11 of them.
Well, I worked as a media specialist in the library at school. Is what I did, and
Wow.
I was getting ready for work. In fact, my husband and I went outside with him um, to tell him goodbye, and we had prayer. And during prayer, I tried to talk and I couldn't talk. And
Hmm.
then when he said amen and we stopped, he looked at me and he could see a tear in my eye. And he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know. I tried to talk and I couldn't." He said, "Are you okay?" "Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, go to work." And what is really strange is that I have a background in health and physical education as well as media specialist. And I went inside and had music on and I was trying to sing along, and all of a sudden, just gibberish came out. It was just nonsense. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I kept doing that. I couldn't talk. And then I really knew something was wrong. And I thought, well, I got to call someone and get some help. And I was worried about work on everything I was, could have been happening. Instead of fearing for myself, I was worried about work, being late to work.
Right.
So how do you call people and tell them when you can't talk? Did that happen to anybody here? Let us know. Put a comment. Did you have problems talking when you had your stroke? Could you talk? Could you get help? Get help?
Yes,
Anybody?
do you have, real quick, do you have a phone on that's on too? Like a cell phone?
I have a cell phone,
Because I can hear an echo. Typically, when the volume's up.
but I
That's
don't have
usually-
it. I don't have the.
Maybe it's just me. Yeah, now it still does. Ray says it still does. The echo, I don't know why it says that, but yeah, they're all. If you look at the comments, Barbara saying couldn't talk, but hubby was there. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's yeah, Aubrey. I know she had a TBI, and yeah, that's her same thing too, worrying about work.
Yeah. It's the strangest thing where, instead of thinking about ourselves, you worry about other things. So I had to call home. I had to call work to tell them I couldn't be there.
Right.
And I also wanted to get a hold of my husband.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to get a hold of my husband because he was a millwright at about a half an hour away. And I had no idea how to get a hold of him. So I called a friend. We'd recently moved there. We'd only been here, I think, about almost 2 years. And so I got a hold of their youngest son, and I tried to explain to him what's going on, but of course my speech was very limited. And I finally got a hold of him, and I told him that I was going to the hospital and where I was going to be. And so he said he would go and get a hold of Bill at the mill. And I guess I had called work first. And my assistant at work told me she would come and get me and take me to the hospital. And so she took me there, and I went to the emergency room, and they told me to go home.
Really?
Did that happen to anyone? Did you go to the emergency room and they tell you to go home? I couldn't talk. They accused me of doing drugs. And I had to fight. I said, I'm not leaving. As much as I could tell them, I was, of course, gibberish.
Right.
But I just bowed my back, and I wasn't leaving. And I knew something was wrong.
You're stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a Murphy, my mom's side of the family, I guess. And fortunately, pretty soon my husband showed up, and he just looked him in the eye and said, my wife does not do drugs. And eventually they admitted me, and they did a MRI, and they called me into the doctor's office and showed us the scans, and he said, you've had a stroke. In fact, you've had 11 strokes. And
Crazy.
they did blood work, and they told me I had this rare antibody in my blood, the anti-cardiolipin antibody. Did anybody have that?
Yeah, it's funny. I interview a lot of people and never heard about that.
It makes the blood thick, and so it's like, oh wow, great.
How long were you in the hospital?
um, I I talked to my husband about that a few weeks ago, and I thought I was only there one night, and he said, no, honey, you were about a week. But and I said, oh really? But I can only remember the morning, waking up in the morning. They didn't have room for me, so they sent me to the veterans part of the Oregon Health Science Center, the veterans, and I was in this open ward. And I can remember in the night, it's about 2 in the morning, the nurse, I could hear her. I woke up and I could hear these nurses talking, and this nurse said, "Oh, oh my gosh, I forgot to put the I forgot to put the," and she came running into my bed, and they forgot to put the heparin in to thin my blood. And when I
That's
woke up in the morning, I was paralyzed.
wow.
And I hadn't been paralyzed until then, until I woke up. Hi, Brooke. Until I woke up in the morning. And so then my challenge, I was paralyzed on my dominant side, on my right side, but I still could walk. I was paralyzed clear down to my glutes, my gluteus maximus. For those
Yes.
people who don't know what that is, that's your butt. You okay? So, and you use, that's your strongest muscle. And you use that for your balance. You use that for walking. You use that a lot. But I could still walk, and I praise the Lord I was able to do that. I had my husband and I worked out. Uh, so when I was able to do it, eventually I was able to just go for walks. Before I did it just on my own, my husband went with me. He did the big butt muscle. Yes, exactly. Um, my husband, we lived north of Portland, north northwest of Portland. It was just a little community that was north of St. Helens, Oregon. And so it's right along the Columbia River. And so I can remember we could walk down to the river, and we would throw rocks in the river. And he would challenge me to throw a rock. He challenged me to try skipping a rock. Have any of you ever skipped a rock growing up? You know,
Yeah.
it takes a little skill. You got to get that hand going, and so get it down. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that was one of my big challenges, was to skip a rock. I remember that. And when I don't know what people did for their therapy when they first started, but
Right.
I I went to this. It was a retirement center, and I went there, and I remember Bill dropped me off, and there was a person I'd spent some time with, and she had this hand squeezer, and they told me that I just read some of this comment that got me chuckling. Thanks, Brooke. Um, and you're supposed to squeeze it. Well, I could do nothing with my hand. He said, think about it. And I thought, this lady is loony. And then they had another person that was supposed to help me with my speech because I couldn't talk. Did anybody have problems with their speech?
I think I bet
It depends what
almost
side of the
100.
brain. What side
Yeah.
of the brain? If it's on your left side, then your right side will be paralyzed. And if you're on the right side of the brain, your left side will be paralyzed.
Yes. You have hemorrhagics like me as well.
Okay. So I have yeah, I was so really unimpressed with my therapy that was there. So, but I had a start, and I had a little tool to work with. I don't know if anybody had those squeeze tools, and
Mhm.
that's what I had. And I worked, but she said, just think about it. Just think about it. And so we have to get those brain connections going again. We have to really work it. And I think it was about 6 weeks that I was able to do that. And then when I was through, I said, do you have exercises for me? I want to know for exercises for my speech that I could use. And Cal, she was a young gal, and she just hung her head. She says, I don't, I, I'm sorry, I've never done this before. And I go, oh, wow. It's just like, oh, no wonder I struggled. So she didn't know. She was just a beginner. She was just learning. And eventually, um, Bill and I talked about what to do. And he took me we found a private place and drove me clear over to Beaverton.
Yeah.
And I took there for a while. And I asked her the same speech therapy that I could do at home. And that's how, you have to ask, and you have to really work for yourself. Push
Absolutely.
yourself.
You have to advocate for yourself.
Yes, yes. And then one thing I couldn't do, it's just like everything you have to start all over. I don't know how much people hear that you lost for your memory. And I know my short-term memory is just gone. It's just like I do things, and like I can remember at the coast. I said, "Oh, that's really nice place. We should stay there sometime, honey." And he goes, "We did, hon." Oh, did I like it?
Oh
It's
my
just,
God.
oh, it's embarrassing at times, yeah. But then I'm at the point now. It's like, okay, this is me, and it's just,
Yeah.
what it is. Um,
There was one question in here asked um, like the mental health. How'd that go in the beginning? Was that a tough thing to deal with?
um, I remember a friend coming and was going to go walking with me. And when she came, I just started having the tears. I didn't understand what was going on. And she came up and hugged me. Oh, honey, you're just at that stage. You're going through, she had no idea that a stroke survivor of what we go through. And I did research and I found out it's the endorphins are no longer released in the brain. And if you have it, the side is paralyzed, you don't struggle, is my understanding. You don't have the emotions as the person that has the right side that's paralyzed.
Right.
Is that right with you? I mean, I'd like to know what the other people know. If
Yeah.
you are, right side paralyzed, you really struggle with your emotions. A lot of people have take medication. I did right at first, and then I didn't. I wanted to get as much medication off of me, and what I did, I elected to work out. When you work out, you get those endorphins released into the brain. And I have a
Exactly.
background in PE and health, and so uh, yeah, that's my site. Yeah, and so I worked out. But first of all, it was Bill and I just worked out each on our own over at the fitness center. And after a while, I would lift weights and I'd do my cardio. Bill was at work. And then I saw these people going downstairs in the gym. And so I started researching, and asking questions about the classes. And then I started doing the classes. I was timid at first, and I started getting to know people. I didn't know people because I was new to the area. But eventually, um, I was one of the old timers. I felt like people come and go, and pretty soon new people come down. I knew they were being timid. So I'd go up and I'd welcome. Hi, I'm Judy. Welcome. You know, I've been there. You're not stroke survivor. A lot of people didn't even know I was a survivor.
Right.
And so I was doing that, and those classes, they help my balance, they help my core, they just help me overall, just my mental attitude. And I'd go for a walk. About 5 years after my stroke, Bill came home with a little puppy.
Mm.
And so I'd be walking her, every day. And one time I thought, oh, I don't want to go out. It's raining. But I need to walk this dog. So we walked just a little ways, and pretty soon she just stopped. Her tail was down. She goes, found out she doesn't like the rain. She doesn't like to get her feet wet. She's half pug and half dachshund. And so I found things that she likes and things she doesn't like, and she doesn't like to go out in the rain. So we were okay with that. I'd rather not walk in the rain either. So
So obviously
it's
your balance is good, and
yeah,
you do
yeah. It's
yoga. You have your
um
own. You have your own Facebook page, and it's for just like I put up here. Tone up, slim down with Judy.
yeah. I started doing that after COVID hit because they closed the classes at the fitness center, and I started doing things, and I started working out with Bill. We were working on our own. Um, we moved closer to our family. We were both, of course, I was retired. I eventually had to go on disability. I tried to work 2 years, and then they and I had to either go to stay where I was and not be a certified teacher, or go into a classroom, to the health classroom. I said, so I opted to do the classroom. And after a week, I told Bill I knew I can't do this. You know, there's just too much damage there. You can't remember. And so I went on disability. Because of my strokes. I was able to get it. I think it was about 5 years also after my stroke. I just had severe pain in my hands, and I just all could just sit there and just rock back and forth. Bill was at work and he came home, and he says, you know, he said, I'm taking to the urgent care so we can get this checked out. So I go there, and they did all these tests and came out and said, oh, you have anti-cardiolipin antibody.
Hmm.
I know. I just go, well, yeah, I had a stroke. He goes, you have lupus. And I go, oh. I said, why didn't they tell me that when I had my strokes? Sometimes you don't know why urgent, why the profession doesn't connect. It's like, if you have an anti-cardiolipin antibody, they should have known. Not only did I have strokes, but that it causes lupus.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I,
incredible.
I- oh well.
Wow.
And so,
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the comments here. Yeah, Mike Peters, I do need to go to Judy to help me out as far as fitness. Um, but Christina, wow, we
well,
love.
so if Mike, are you able to walk?
And he lives in South Wales, United Kingdom.
Okay.
But
Well, uh, I was
let us
told
know,
to
Mike.
help me wrote down Suzette. Yeah, it's not fun having the depression. It's you should check and see if you what you're available for you're in a wheelchair. Okay, what are you paralyzed in your arms, both arms?
He's not.
You're not. Okay. So you could lift weights. I don't know if you can see me. You could lift weights. So you could do things upper body,
Yeah.
upper body.
And you've got great movement, range of motion. I can see,
Yes,
Judy.
I do.
Really good.
My husband and I, we went hunting in Montana. Was it 5 years in a row?
Mhm.
I have a picture here. I could post it on my page on my personal page, or if you want interested and see my big buck that I got, I can post a picture.
Yeah,
Okay. But,
absolutely.
my we would I hunted with my husband for 5 years,
Wow.
and over in Montana, and
You got the
so
buck.
it's like I was able to do things, but it's been Bill helped me too. You know, he just didn't say, "Oh, honey, you can't do this." He was always there encouraging and help me. Um, I've been able to go fishing on the Columbia River with Bill. And you know, he knows at times that my right side's weaker. I might need help with something, but he's there to help and encourage. And so
Yeah.
it's just like I know if all of you are stroke survivors, or any of you are spouses of a stroke survivor, you know, encourage, you know, each other, encourage your spouse. And if you have a spouse, well, just share with them. Yeah, I need some encouragement here. Let them know.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with depression, don't keep it a secret. You share with them.
Yeah.
Share with them.
Absolutely. It's always good to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And yeah, that's true. Nice to see you, Danielle and Laura. Good to see you. But yeah, that's so do you take any, because a lot of, you probably know, a lot of stroke or TBI, a lot of them, like me, take seizure medicine. Have you had any issues with seizures?
Yes, seizures. And that's probably, I would say, is my biggest challenge because both lupus and the strokes impact the brain with seizures.
Yeah.
So that's been my biggest struggle. I went to, after my stroke, by the Legacy Hospital, a different hospital, they had a stroke group there. And we drive into town, into Portland. And we went to that for a while until they disbanded. They didn't do it very long. They quit it, but they everybody could talk, and I couldn't. And I felt so out of place. And I would remember going home that I feel more discouraged than encouraged after being there.
Right. Right.
But working out has been my saving grace along with the Lord.
Yes, it's a
He
blessing.
was there. I kept saying over and over in my mind, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lead on to your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. I was just saying that, repeating that over and over and over in my mind. 9 months later, during my reading my Bible time, I came across the scripture. I didn't even know I was repeating scripture, but it was there. It was there, and the Lord brought it forth. And then one day at church, the pastor's wife, she talked about a mission she went on. She'd been over in Africa, and she shared with the Lord still heals today. She said, we were praying and people healed right in front of my eyes. You just have to believe. You just have to believe.
Right.
And it says, if you want something to be healed about, you come up to the altar and pray. And so I went up and said, I want to be healed of the anti-cardial life and antibody. She said, get Bill and come to the altar and pray together. So I went up there, and pretty soon other people came up praying. And then I was bent over and I was kneeling and I was praying, and then I just felt something lifting, pulling. I just felt my hand, my hip, it was just pulling me up. It was coming. I just felt something was just pulling me out, and I thought, oh my gosh. I just kept praying, and I stayed doing that until it was released. And something happened. They said I was shaking. I couldn't feel that. I was praying. I couldn't feel that I was shaking, but they said I was just shaking all over, and I could feel the pulling. And I went to my doctor and I asked to be sent to a hematologist. And she said, why? Because to go to a hematologist, I would have to have a referral from a doctor. And she said, why? And I said, I want to have my anticardiolipin antibody tested. She said, why? I said, well, I want it tested. She said, once you have it for the rest of your life. I said, would you please send me? And she was very adamant. I said, she goes, okay, but it'll be a waste of your money. And we got it scheduled. We went there, and they drew blood, and then we were told to come back for after the test was, they did all the tests. And while we're there, the doctor said, I'm really baffled. He goes, when you had your stroke, your count was 48. He said, for your antibody to be shown, it has to register over 9. Our first, when we tested, didn't even register. So we did the other one, and it showed 12. He says, there's no way you should be on blood thinners. I mean, if you want to be, if you feel more comfortable, you can. I don't know if any of you have had blood thinners, but I was on blood thinners because I had thick blood, and it was a real hassle. It's like one time you go there and you get poked. I hate being poked. Oh, I never liked shots growing up, and I still don't like shots. And it's like one time it'll be too high, and one time it'll be too low. It's like you just always have to balance the food you eat. If you're supposed to eat like green things, broccoli, those are supposed to be so healthy for you. Well, that's bad for thick blood. Um, so I just, and I was just, all right, I don't want to be it. He said, if you want to feel comfortable, just take a baby aspirin at night. And I said, okay, I can do that. But he said, I don't know. I can't explain that.
Yeah.
I had to go to my mentor, he said, to figure out this. I don't know what happened. Bill looked at me and I looked at him and we go, yes, thank you, Lord.
See, I mean, you can see all the, the comments here. Um, you're right. That is so. Now you're not on blood thinners anymore.
Okay.
No, aren't you? You're not on them.
No, no.
Look, look who's looking out for you.
Yes. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Exactly. I know that Mike from the UK, his wife is a priest.
A priest? Okay.
He had the
Well,
stroke, and so he said his wife will be pleased for some of the things you're saying.
and those of you who aren't, some of you know about we have a stroke Christian group. It's called Higher Ground. Um, if I invite you there, we just have administrators and other people who post scriptures, daily scriptures. You could go and sometimes devotionals you could read, and it's called Higher Ground.
So you suggest that if anybody wants to go there, they can reach
Mm-hmm.
out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah, it's funny how that works because I found out like 3 of my childhood friends I haven't talked to in 50 years. They had 3 of them had a stroke, which is kind of crazy. And now every Saturday night, if I can make it, they have a Bible study, and
No.
it's really, it's fun to catch up with old friends.
Yes.
But yeah, so now you're not on blood thinners anymore and you're 20 years, 11 strokes, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and it'll be 21 years in May.
Wow.
I'm an old timer now.
Yeah, you're not a newbie.
So
Uh,
if I want to encourage others. Some of you
yeah,
might be newcomers, by just learning, but there's life after stroke.
yeah.
Um,
I was gonna
I'm
ask you. I was gonna ask you. So what would you tell? You were. I think you were just gonna say it anyway. Were you gonna? What would you tell other newbie or another even stroke survivors that are, you know, 10, 20 years into it and they're still going through that tough time?
People, they're going through tough times with their
Yeah, tough
emotions.
times. Yeah.
Um, Things you need to do, if you make sure you tell your partner. Um, you don't want to go through it alone. Sometimes I'd encourage you to talk to your doctor, and I'd also encourage you to exercise. Exercise was my between the Lord and exercise. That's how I was able to survive this. And going to the Lord and spending time with Him, reading His Word, and praying, um, getting into having daily prayer with Him, talking to Him. You don't have to be fancy with it. You just talk to Him. He's your friend. Just go to Him, talk to Him, and praise Him. It's so often that we want to come and ask, but it's just like, talk to Him and praise Him. The Lord, He wants to hear from His children.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking here too. Yeah, Mike, he loves you. Mike Peters said that Delia from Ireland is aspirin is what you meant to say. Is aspirin not a blood thinner? It is, because I know that my doctor says I can't have a blood thinner, but that that's great. So what else did we miss on with your survival story? I mean, you obviously you're doing wonderful. I mean, it's shocking that maybe it's not shocking because I've heard this before. Some people they're going to the doctor and they told you to go home.
Yeah, told me to go home. And I said that to the doctor when he told me I had strokes. I said, there's a nurse in the ER that she told me to go home. I said, oh, that's because they get all these people that come down that do drugs and they can't talk. And I said, but just, oh, I can't imagine. It's like I would never go to that hospital again. And they're highly credited, Oregon Health Science Center. And that's why I selected them, because I didn't know any other doctors. I was new to the area. It was in Portland. The town we were in didn't have a hospital because they're so close to Portland. And I was a student council advisor in the town we used to live in, and we earned money for Oregon Health Science Center,
Right.
Dornbeckers. So I thought, okay, that's where I want to go, because they asked me when the person that took me to the hospital asked me where I wanted to go, and I didn't know where. I said, oh, OHSU, I guess, and then have them. It was a very negative experience, I have to say. P- them telling me to go home, and plus being sent over to an open ward, the leftover. I felt like it's a leftover, like it was part of the veterans, and just, it was not a good experience what I had. And then to find out that they put the heparin in my IV.
Uh, you don't like those that bad experiences, especially when you're going through not only an emotional time but 11 strokes.
Yeah.
You know, you're already at a point where, you know, not in a good place right now. But then, I mean, look at you now.
but what we did as about a year and a half ago, we moved, and we wanted to be closer to our kids. We really loved it up where we were. We have friends after being up there for 20 years, 21 years. Um, we've got to know people. I loved it because it was a little community, a bedroom community, and it had a fitness center. I mean, I walked over there, and so that was so nice. And the Columbia River was nearby. We got a boat and we were fishing, and then not too far we'd have it was a nice drive to the coast, and we'd go clam digging. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do some of these things, but we I don't know if anybody's ever dug racer clams before.
Oh
They have
yeah,
a clam gun. It's like a tube. You go push it down. You put your thumb over the hole, and then you pull up and you get it out, and you get your clam. You raise your clams, and we go
absolutely.
clam digging. And we're wanting to go more clam digging again. It's been a while since we've been up there, but we moved down here. We sold our house, and we lived down in our. I grew up on a ranch, and there's an old house there. It's where my grandmother lived, and it's so we stayed there for a few months while being built out in the valley where our kids are. And while we were there, we were working out, and started the fitness page. I think when we were still up at Columbia City, because the fitness center closed down due to the COVID. And so I just started doing daily workout area, and Bill and I work out together. And then we were doing it down at the ranch, and I'd post those um, workout areas, workout programs. And Bill and I would do walk jogs. And on one of our walk jogs, he says he couldn't keep up. And Bill's very athletic. Um, and something was wrong. He goes, "No, there's something wrong. There's something really wrong." And then we kept going, and we'd walk, and I says, I can't run. I can't breathe." And he ended up having open heart surgery, bottom line. And that's so while we work out ourselves, Bill got a elliptical, and we bought more free weights, just dumbbell bells, and I found a workout program for weights, and we do that, and it's pretty good. And then in the summertime when it's nice, we do a good walk that we clip along. We
Nice.
haven't we haven't started um, our walks yet. We're still using the elliptical. In Oregon here, we still get a lot of rain, but it's starting to get nicer now. He's out golfing today.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember you said that Tuesday and Thursday he golfing, and just not to change subject. Thanks, Mike. He put your page in the comments there too. So um, yeah, I see that, David. Yeah, deep water with feet, shallow water with hands, clamming. Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Well, that's
Love
good. So
golf. Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't much of a golfer before. I just couldn't. And so after I had my stroke, I thought, I'm just not going to make myself miserable and try golfing anymore. I know he would love me to golf. And our son went to school on a golf scholarship. And it's just, um, but I had just thought won't make myself unhappy, just frustrate myself. So I stick to my workouts. And I like that, my walks. And hopefully this summer we'll get back to our walk jogs again.
right.
I
Yeah.
think Bill's, recovered enough from his open heart.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow, sound like you two are just game busters in the workout field. Well, yeah, obviously you are. see that life.
Bill too. Bill was a wrestler growing up.
Ah,
They had a wrestling scholarship, and it was 4-year letterman at Oregon State.
wow, that's a big deal because I wrestled, and to get a scholarship, especially at Oregon State, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Laura,
They,
mini golf is what you like. I applaud you.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. We they have a place over here where they have golf clothes, golf shoes, and they have a little mini golf course. It's golf is a little, I
yeah,
want to say fake little things like little kids do. It's just like
yeah,
a par three. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's a little par three little
yeah,
course. I told Bill that's a place that you could just take me golfing. I think I'd feel more comfortable there.
yeah. Then 18 holes.
Yeah. Now he's where he um, goes. It's just down the road 3 miles, and it's called Diamond Woods Golf Course. And in fact, the owners of the golf course, he was a baseball player for Oregon State, and got a signing bonus for a professional I think baseball team. And so inside his signing bonus, he ended up putting in a golf course.
Good for him. That's terrific. So that's where he goes.
Yep, and that's where he goes. It's a 18-hole golf course, and he says the back back nine is an 18-hole golf course. So he said the back nine is uphill.
Yeah, both ways uphill. So I understand. Wow. Well, good for you. It sounds like I'm really pleased how you've really overcome, the emotional part of the stroke. But I know you're saying about the short-term memory. That's, I'm sure
Does
most of us
anybody
have.
else have problems with their memory?
Yeah. Me, I'm sure.
I do.
Yeah.
Short-term memory is like
Yeah.
I just don't. I think I'm going to remember this, and then it's like I can remember things back when I was growing up, but something that happened several months ago, it's like it's gone.
Yeah. Do you ever have that, like, so a lot of people that have had strokes or brain injury, they have the issue like we'll be talking and completely forget what I was talking about.
Yeah, I have like I started to go to the refrigerator to get something out, and it's like, oh my gosh, so I have to just turn around. Then so as I turn around, I remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are saying I can see that. Christy and David. Yeah. So true. The short term memory. Wow.
do do all of you have something that you um, enjoy doing?
Yeah.
I do. You can't cry.
Yeah. It's funny because I that's so true about the crying. I cry all the time. Just the littlest McDonald commercials or so. And I had somebody on the show, same thing. She cries at like funerals at the worst time, and she had several strokes, same thing. But it's at the wrong time when she starts laugh. Oh, she laughs all the time. And the last one was a funeral, so she had to leave.
Hmm.
Unbelievable. But so what else did we not cover? Look at all of everybody saying that the short-term memory.
Short-term memory. Yeah. I was going to ask about something to do. Do
Yeah.
all of you do you have a hobby or something to do? I like to work out. I like to garden. I did a lot of gardening in our other house, and this is new, and we're having just happened to start landscaping, and we didn't do much last year because of Bill's open heart surgery, and so this year we're starting to do more.
Right. Wow. That's Yeah, there's a lot of. I know yours is working out. That's one of the biggest hobbies. And gardening, maybe getting back into it.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, but
I
keeping
was so
yourself busy.
excited to get to the Willamette Valley
Hmm.
because there's all the things. I thought, oh, it'll be good soil. It'll be good soil. Well, this little area that we live in is. I can remember what going by this little town when we went to Oregon State, and they always had Christmas trees.
Mm.
That's where everybody grew Christmas trees. And here now they found out this soil is also good for vineyards, for um, grapes, for wine.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, well then they've also brought in hazelnuts. But for anything else here, this clay is just, you have to dig a big hole and then you just have to fill it up with compost and mulch and soil from bags of soil that you buy. It just, it's just solid clay. I thought, oh my goodness, I want my garden back.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, wow. I mean, this has been great having you on.
Thank
It's
you,
been,
Jerry.
yes.
I'm just really curious that somebody said, Della said she can't cry. You mean you actually cannot cry?
Yeah, she's from Ireland, and yeah. I just can't cry anymore. I've heard those stories. I mean,
There's
when you have.
us who cry, and then there's others who are not able to cry.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And no, I haven't heard that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Work
Yeah.
out and clamming?
Yeah. That's David. Because you asked what do you like to do?
Work out and clamming. Great.
There you go. Good
Do
for you,
you
David.
must live near the coast?
Yeah. I'm David. I don't know where you actually live. Um,
Where do you live, David? In the U.S.? East Coast, West Coast?
Texas, where I'm at.
Is
Um,
that where you're at in Texas?
yes. Yes. Christy saying thank you for sharing your journey. Yeah,
You're
I live
welcome,
in
Chrissy.
right near Austin. Yes. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate you. And yeah, that's right. Thank you, Judy, for sharing your journey.
You're
It's been
welcome.
awesome. And I'll bring this up one more time. I know Mike put it in the comments, but this is your Facebook page for anybody wants. They can get a hold of you.
I know. I was going to say I started doing that when we during COVID, and Bill and I were. I was making workout routines for Bill and myself, and so I thought I'd start posting it and see if any people would enjoy it. And then we moved into our new house and things, and I just got away from it because we were doing this weight workout. And so I posted our weight workout. We were doing 2 sets of, of weights, and there's
Good.
dumbbells and different movements. And then we went up to 3 sets, and the sets are of 15 reps. And so by the time we're through, that's pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
we're around 70. I'm 70. Bill's going to be 70 in a few months. So, and plus we'll try to get our route um, elliptical in,
Right.
whether 2 miles. And I injured my foot earlier, about maybe a couple months ago, and I just feel like it's getting well enough I can start doing the elliptical again. And you're welcome, Della. And so it's like I feel good because I'm getting back in the elliptical again. We can start walking again. I talked to Bill about when weather's getting better now. We can maybe do some walking. And he thought that's good. He's doing his walking when he's golfing because
Oh
he
yeah.
doesn't cart. He walks.
Oh, he didn't.
So
Okay, good for him.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do a cart. I know some looking. Yeah, look at that, guys. She doesn't look
Oh,
70.
thank you, Della.
Absolutely. Yeah. And and Laura says, great job, guys. But you know what? Laura's a workout master too. She's
All
just,
right. Good
yeah,
job, Laura.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Look at this. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you. Thank you, Brooke.
Well, that's
And so
awesome.
I have my workout clothes on. I was going to go work out, but I fixed breakfast for Bill and myself. I cooked some turkey sausage and
Mm,
I made some protein muffins.
yeah,
And so I thought, well, I'll do the interview and then I'll clean bathrooms. By then I'll digest enough and then I can do my workout.
good. That's perfect. And Ray, yeah, I will post it on YouTube there. Judy's site. It's right on the screen here if you can see it. Facebook, tone up, slim down with Judy. But it's in these comments here too. But Mike, I remember Mike put it in there. So, but well, you guys, thanks for showing up and making comments and asking questions. And Judy, you too. This has been awesome having you on. Um, it's been a blast, and I'm glad you shared your story of. Still shocked. I've heard this before. You didn't have a stroke. Just you go home, right? Oh my gosh. So just unbelievable. Well, any last words?
Oh, I kind of blank right now, but that happens to stroke survivors.
Yeah.
Just click on blank. But
Totally.
it's the two things I'm very thankful for. I'm thankful for the Lord. I'm thankful that I have a spouse that's there to support me. He knows what I've been through. Even people, other family members, I'm sure they don't know what I've really dealt with.
Yeah.
Other stroke survivors,
Yeah.
you know better than anybody else. And then also, exercise. If you don't exercise, start. And don't just, you can always exercise. You always going to have one side that's good. Even, you might say, well, one side's paralyzed. Well, you have no, you can just do dumbbells. You can do things. So
Move.
you don't
Right.
don't have an excuse because we all can do something no matter what we are. When I started, I was paralyzed. I was
Hmm.
paralyzed like everybody else, but I kept working and I kept doing stuff. And Bill encouraged me. He encouraged me. He did do all the walking, all the cooking for 2 years. And I remember the first time I cooked, and I don't know about the rest of you. It's like when I thought, oh man, I'm going to cook dinner. I'm going to surprise Bill. I'm going to surprise him. And I thought, what am I going to cook? I mean, everything was gone. My mind was just like starting all over, like a little kid having to start over. And I thought, well, I'll call my kids. Maybe one of them will remember. I thought I'd make meatloaf. And it's like, and they go, what's my meatloaf recipe? You know, things I didn't have written down before used to be in my mind. I was so I just can remember that. It was just like I was so excited about doing it, but I did start. I now have recipes that I write down. I
Perfect.
cook now, and but Bill did. He worked full time, and he came home and he cooked.
Nice. Good
Um,
man. Good man.
we hired somebody to clean the bathrooms, to come in and clean the bathrooms and do some housework, and we did that for about I forget how long. And then when I remember what I figured it was time for get out doing things. And when I told her that we're going to stop because I'm going to start doing it, and she thought she had done something wrong. I said, no, thank you. You are, very appreciated for her, but I need to start doing things.
Yeah.
People don't realize that we have to push ourselves. And there's times when we need help, but there's times when we just need to do a little more. Just do a
Understand.
little more.
Yes, absolutely. So, well, it's been an hour. So, thank you so much. And we'll you can stay on real quick, and we're you guys have a great day, and we'll see you guys again. Thank you, Judy.
Everybody have a great